All right, going to try a little video here for our ecology class. You should be reading over chapter 5 on populations, and you should be looking at your notes and make your notes and then compare those to the ones I sent you. I will be sending another set of notes on Friday or Monday. I'll probably send them on Monday on communities where we're going to be looking at predator-prey relationships, and I got some other stuff I'm going to be sending out too. But this initial one, as you were starting your notes, we were looking at how populations interact, which is kind of what's going on with this little virus thing we're dealing with. Hopefully you're looking at some of the information online and kind of paying attention to some of the news that's going on out there. I'll even give you a site here at the end that if you want to look at some really good graphs on how this virus is working population-wise, you can kind of look at that. But as we were going through this, the first part of this was talking about interaction, and interaction is a big deal. And we talked about biotic potential, and then you saw the word intrinsic in your notes, and intrinsic means coming from within the group. So it's within those organisms, okay? And that's why those examples, there's social stress, a lot of that going on right now, reproduction, territoriality, those are all within those organisms. And then we have environmental resistance, those abiotic factors. What are the conditions that will maybe influence some of those biotic ones? And that what brings us to what's called the tolerance picture, which you guys couldn't click on and see. So I will be sending that to you today along with this little video so that you can take a look at it. I do have it up on my little whiteboard here. And I'm going to go over it really quick, and I'll talk about a few other little things here. So on this little tolerance graph, you get what's called a bell curve, something that we see quite a bit in our classes, whether we're in a history class or whatever. Usually we talk about it in terms of grading. But on this bell curve, we see that the way that the graph is set up, on our x-axis, we have our range. Our range goes from the lower limit of organisms to the upper limit of organisms. And then we have on our y-axis the number of organisms within this group, whatever that will be, obviously from 0 to, hundreds of thousands, depending upon this whatever species we're talking about. So in this bell curve, in the middle, based on the conditions, those environmental stresses, based on those biotic potentials, we're going to get the most abundant group of organisms, the ones that are the best fit for that environment. There will be a few that are at the upper limit. There will be a few that are at a lower limit. And then we have none of the species are there. Okay, and this is what a tolerance graph looks like. And we have to fit within this. Now, we have talked about divergence, convergence, and the other one's escaping me right now, and directional selection. And we have those, if you look back on some of your earlier ones, we actually saw this bell curve moving. If it's directional and we see a change in the environmental stresses, we might say, hey, we're going to switch this way. These upper limit guys here are going to be the ones that are able to reproduce. They're able to adapt better. So we see the curve move one direction, or it may even move back towards the lower limit. Okay. Other times it may split in half. Sometimes the environment changes so much that the lower and the upper limit are the best organisms. So we see a split. Okay. Sometimes this even narrows up and we get convergence. So we got 3 different things that can go on. We can see, and I'll just draw arrows down here. We can get a directional shift one way. We can get a divergence where we get 2 shifts at the same time. And then sometimes we get a shift where it focuses in the middle. So our graph goes from being a bell curve like this to a new bell curve like this. Sometimes our bell curve goes from being this to being 2 little bumps now. And then sometimes our bell curve, and I'm going to have to move this one over here, we go from having a simple bell curve like this one to one that now gets very pointed and does that. And we've seen those before. So again, this is a quick little video. It's also to let me see if you guys are checking your emails. Remember, I do have an assignment out there that's check your email assignment. It is being graded. I had it out there now. This will be 24 hours when you see this video. So I will be putting in grades for that to see who's checking their emails. School is still in session until they say something different. Okay. Like I said, as you keep going through your notes, we got ecologies divided into those 4 levels. We're going to spend a lot of time on communities. That's going to be your next block of notes that's going to be coming. A lot of those notes are going to be some of even our previous notes. Just to give you a heads up on there. Distribution patterns, make sure you look through those and use your textbook to look at some of the diagrams that are in there. And then we will get into local distribution of populations. I'll probably hit that next time. And then constraints. I probably will wait on constraints until we go over some of the community interaction stuff and talk about predator-prey relationships. And somehow I'm going to figure out how to get our wolf stuff in there. I still want to be able to do some of those things where we're looking at the reintroduction of the wolf to Montana, because I think it's really important and something we can tie into our ecology class. So that will be coming down the pipe too. So again, be checking those emails, guys. I hope the graph, I'll be sending it to you. You'll get your own hard copy. You may not be able to see this the best. If you can, great. If not, use the one that I send to you. Other than that, just keep on with your work. Keep up with your class as best you can. And I'll send another video out as soon as we can get one going here. See you later, guys.